New Orleans is famous for music, for fog, for stories. But this one isn't about ghosts in graveyards. It's about a high school student who kept seeing the same man on the same corner every single morning. And one day, the man said something different. St. Aldrich High School stands near the edge of the French Quarter, close enough to hear faint jazz drifting through the streets at dawn. Built in 1887, the school has weathered hurricanes, floods, and decades of slow change. Tall columns rise proudly. Red brick walls, worn and faded, hold decades of history. Dark green shutters hang unevenly, creaking softly whenever the wind picks up. The building carries its age openly, preserved, not abandoned. In the early morning fog, it looks older than it is. Edges blur, details soften. Windows reflect less light than they should. Shadows stretch across the brick like faint reminders of the past. Students arrive half awake, moving through the mist without noticing much. Some notice things, a shadow that lingers too long, a reflection that doesn't quite match, a figure standing where no one should be. They whisper to friends, trading stories during lunch. Old buildings hold memories, someone says. Most stories fade. Some stay, not louder, not clearer, just persistent, like a rhythm of the past, quietly waiting for someone to notice. Marcus had always felt it, the weight of history in the brick, the faint chill of a past that wasn't quite gone. And this morning, as he walked past the wrought iron fence, he noticed it again, the shape of a man in the fog, perfectly still, waiting. Marcus Thibodeau was 16 years old. Every morning he walked to school the same way, the same turns, the same timing, exactly 22 minutes. Then, in early September, he noticed someone new, an old man standing on the corner near the road, a brown suit, an old-fashioned haircut, an old-fashioned hat on his head, completely motionless. As Marcus passed, the man turned and said, "You'll be late again, son." Marcus wasn't late, but he kept walking. The next morning, same corner, same man, same sentence. "You're going to be late again, son." It didn't sound threatening. It sounded automatic, like a habit, a phrase repeated too many times. For weeks the pattern continued. Marcus didn't tell anyone. He wasn't sure what he would even say. In November, during history class, Marcus asked about the school's past. Not casually, not as a joke, he asked carefully, testing something he didn't fully understand. The teacher gave only a general answer, dates, renovations, and names of former principals. Nothing specific, nothing useful. So after class, Marcus went to the archive room, a quiet corner few students ever visited. Dusty shelves towered above him, stacked with old records and yearbooks. The air smelled like paper and time, dry and heavy, with a faint hint of mildew. He moved slowly, scanning labels, brushing away dust from decades-old ledgers. Faces stared back at him from the past. Clubs, sports teams, classrooms frozen in black and white photographs. Nothing familiar, nothing alive, until he found it. An old staff photo from the early 1980s. Black and white, slightly faded, edges curled. Teachers arranged in neat rows. Some smiled, some serious, some gazed past the camera. One man stood in the center, straight posture, hands by his sides, expression unreadable. Marcus leaned closer, squinting at the name below the photo. Elias Broussard, physical education instructor, brown suit, same style Marcus had seen every morning on the corner. The man in the photograph seemed still, like he didn't belong to the photo, like he was just a memory somehow suspended in time. Marcus felt a chill creep down his spine. Not fear, not panic, recognition. A strange sense that the corners of the room, the empty aisles of dusty books, and the walls themselves were all aligned with this moment. He looked at the image again. Brown suit, same posture, same stillness. Even in a photograph, Elias Broussard looked like he was waiting for someone. Marcus's hand lingered on the page. The hallway outside the archive room seemed quieter. Faint creaks from the old floorboards echoed strangely, like whispers. He closed the yearbook slowly, careful not to tear the fragile pages. But the image stayed in his mind, clear, unchanging, like something he hadn't just discovered, but something he was meant to remember. The school librarian, Miss Arsenault, noticed Marcus lingering near the archive shelves. "I remember him," she said softly, almost as if speaking to herself. Her voice carried a mixture of nostalgia and something else, reverence, maybe even a little sadness. She carefully pulled an old notebook from her graduation year. Its leather cover was cracked and worn, edges frayed, faintly dusty. The smell of aged paper filled the air as she opened it. Inside, written in faded ink, "You're going to be late again, son." Marcus's eyes widened. The handwriting seemed to pulse with familiarity. "He said it every morning," Miss Arsenault continued. "Students who ran to class, students who cut it close." It became his thing, almost like a warning, almost like a rhythm of the school itself, like it was always meant to be heard. Marcus's fingers lingered on the page, tracing the faded letters as if the words themselves were alive. "What happened to him?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Miss Arsenault's eyes softened. She leaned back in her chair, glancing toward the window that overlooked the street corner. "He stopped teaching mid-semester," she said gently. "There was an accident near that corner. Something sudden, something the school never fully explained." She paused, letting the silence stretch. It wasn't awkward, it was heavy, full of years and stories that no one had told for decades. Marcus swallowed. Even in the quiet, he could almost hear the words, echoing faintly, as if carried by the air itself. "You're going to be late again, son." He looked at the notebook again, flipping slowly through the pages. Notes about classes, dates, signatures from teachers long gone. Each page seemed imbued with the memory of someone who had been there, watching, reminding, guiding. Miss Arsenault leaned closer. "People remember him differently," she said softly. "To some, he was strict. To others, almost a ghost. But he cared, deeply, maybe too deeply." Marcus shivered, not from fear, but from the weight of understanding. The routine, the habit, the warning. It was more than just words. It was a presence, a memory that had never left. He closed the notebook slowly, careful not to tear the fragile pages. The echoes of that voice lingered in the silent archive, hovering like fog over the streets outside. Marcus realized something he hadn't before. Some things, some people, don't just leave. Their presence hangs on, in whispers, in routines, in echoes, and sometimes you hear them, whether you're ready or not. On November 14th, Marcus checked the date again. Same date mentioned in the archive. He walked the usual route. The man was there, but this time he wasn't looking at Marcus. He was looking at the school building, as if remembering something. Marcus slowed. The man turned, and for the first time, his voice changed. "You won't be late anymore." Not angry, not cold, almost relieved. Then he stepped back into the morning fog and simply wasn't there. Marcus stood on the corner for a long moment. No fear, no dramatic disappearance, just quiet. Later, he told Miss Arsenault what happened. She closed her eyes for a second. "He cared deeply about discipline," she said. "Maybe too deeply." "Maybe," Marcus replied. He just needed to finish the sentence. After that day, the man never appeared again. Marcus still walked the same route, still took 22 minutes, but he left 5 minutes earlier. Not because he was afraid, because he understood something. Some routines continue long after the person is gone, and sometimes They fade when someone finally listens. St. Aldrich High School still stands at the end of Esplanade Avenue. The curbstone is still cracked. Fog still rolls in on quiet mornings. Most students walk past that corner without noticing anything unusual. But every now and then, someone swears they hear a gentle voice say, "Don't be late," not as a warning, as a reminder. The end. This story is a work of fiction. Names, characters, and institutions have been created for storytelling purposes. Any resemblance to real individuals or events is coincidental. Note: for more mysterious, dramatic, and horror stories, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Please share your thoughts and suggestions in the comments.